What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. And it's kind of pathetic and poetic. The US government shuts down, stops releasing economic data, and sends workers home. And the stock market, well, it hits record highs. It's just like the universe told us. Turns out the economy runs better without Congress. The S&P's over 6,700, the Dow's above 47,000, and investors are throwing money around like it's 1999 with AI flavoring. Meanwhile, the Fed's flying blind because all the data's locked in a government Google Drive with no one left to hit share. This is America in 2025. The government collapses and Wall Street celebrates like it's just got a tax cut. Apparently, the market's new motto here is, well, less democracy and more liquidity. I will be honest, this is a very confusing time that we're in. And a lot of these moves I have not been able to even see or predict. So let's go ahead and dive into what you need to know this week and some of the top stories that we're looking for in terms of earnings, the lack of economic reports, and more. So you'd think a government shutdown would tank the market, right? But no, it didn't. It did the polar opposite. Investors looked at the news and said, wait, the government can't do anything? This sounds extremely bullish for us. Every government shutdown since 1995 has ended with, well, positive S&P returns. Apparently, the less Washington works, the more your 401k smiles. This time, though, it's not just government shutting down, it's the data as well. The Labor Department is offline, the Census Bureau is offline, and the Bureau of Economic Analysis is dead air. No jobs report, no inflation data, and no trade stats. The Fed is now flying blind, steering a $27 trillion economy with one hand tied behind its back and the other flipping off Congress, basically saying, this is on you guys if we screw up. Powell's like, we're data dependent. Yeah, but the data's gone. So let's just go off pure vibes here. And investors are vibing too, because the market's pricing in a 97% chance of another rate cut. So yeah, the government shut down, but the money printer, it is still humming like it's on Tesla Autopilot right now. Now, the Fed's next move is everything here. And because the government can't publish a jobs report, Powell's team will now rely on ADP and Indeed.com and the amount of open positions on LinkedIn currently. So make sure you go and update those open jobs, all my big companies out there. Starbucks, well, yes, the Federal Reserve, the same institution that moves global markets, is now basing policy on LinkedIn job postings. Starbucks is hiring again. Guess we're going to go ahead and cut those rates for you. Now, private data showed 32,000 jobs lost in September and hiring at a 16-year low. But that didn't stop the S&P from ripping higher. By the way, we were expected 45,000 jobs and it came in at negative 32,000. So instead of adding 45,000, we actually lost 32,000 somehow. So this is the new reality. You remember how earlier, like a month ago, we were talking about how bad news was bad news again? Well, it looks like we're back to bad news equals rate cuts, which equals number go up, which mean investor buy more stock, which mean we are bullish. So, yeah, but we can look at this as Wall Street's living in a simulation where unemployed means more stimulus and inflation means, well, Powell squinting harder. The Fed's so desperate for direction, they're basically using horoscopes now. Mercury's in retrograde, better lower the Fed fund rates. Now, while politicians argue about who gets blamed for the shutdown, gold's mooning like it's 1979 again. Gold, it's up 3,900 an ounce. Silver is up nearly 50%, and platinum's up 65%. Investors are hoarding metals like it's the Hunger Games monetary edition. Now, why did this happen? Because the dollar's down 10%, the Fed's cutting rates, and nobody wants Washington to count past 10 without a lobbyist's help. Meanwhile, Trump's tariff circus is adding chaos to commodities. 1 week copper gets a spike because of, well, it's made in America. Next week, it tanks because America first now means factories, never heard of them. And yes, the White House literally bought stakes in Lithium Americas and a GM mining joint venture. The US government is now day trading lithium stocks. We've gone full meme economy here, folks. What's next? They're going to start sniping Solana meme coins. Let's talk about the bigger mess here, though. The fight in DC isn't even about budgets anymore. It's about power. Trump's administration wants the right to unilaterally cancel approved spending, and Democrats are saying, you can't just delete the budget like an angry ex or like text messages from your ex. So instead of governing Congress is basically LARPing House of Cards. The fallout here, 800,000 federal employees were furloughed, national parks were closed, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics is missing like your ex's Venmo payment. Now, Powell's trying to read the economy like tea leaves, while Trump threatens to use the shutdown to fire the entire department, which is like setting your house on fire to save on the electric bill here. And yet, through it all, Wall Street doesn't care. Stocks keep printing new highs because dysfunction is bullish now. Now, while the Fed panics and Congress plays blame bingo, corporate America is doing what it does best, selling stuff. This week's highlights, we have the Constellation brands on Monday because we all need alcohol to cope with this current economy. We have McCormick reporting on Tuesday, which is still seasoning your inflation. We have Pepsi, Delta, and Levi's on Thursday, America's comfort trifecta. And we have Amazon Prime Days happening Tuesday and Wednesday because nothing says fiscal crisis like buying a third air fryer. And OpenAI's DevDay kicks off on Monday, where ChatGPT might announce it's now qualified to run the Treasury, or it could be running for president in 2028. Honestly, we'd take it at this point. Now, the week ahead, we got data delays and Fed talk. Monday, we have Constellation earnings, and then we have OpenAI DevDay. Tuesday, we have Fed speakers Bowman, Moran, and Kashkari. We have Amazon Prime Day kickoff on Tuesday, and we have Consumer Credit Report on Tuesday. Wednesday, we have FOMC minutes, aka the Economist Gossip Column. And then Thursday, we have Pepsi, Delta, Levi's, and Applied Digital. Powell and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will also be speaking at the Fed's Community Banking Conference. Translation, don't panic, we're improvising. And then Friday, we have the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment, or as we call it, How Depressed Are Americans This Month? So here's the main takeaway. The government's asleep, the Fed's blindfolded, and Wall Street's throwing a rave like it's 2000. We're living in a country where dysfunction equals profit now, where the Fed's flying blind and the S&P sky high. Maybe the real soft landing here was the friends we made along the way. Or maybe it's just another bull market on caffeine, denial, and rate cuts. Well, either way, it's time to buckle up and put on some clean underwear because we got a hell of a week this week. Because if this is what happens when the government shuts down, imagine what will happen when Congress actually starts working. At this point, the only thing still open in Washington is the future markets. Anyways, I'm Max Pitts. This is Trades and Gains with Investor Central Club. I will see you guys in the next episode. I hope you all have a great week, and make sure you show up tomorrow for our live stream show that we do every day, where we do live charting, find callouts, and more. Also, make sure to use that code ClosingBell20 at InvestorCentralClub.com to get 20% off of your first month using Investor Central Club. I hope to see you guys next week. Make sure you follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/free Wi-Fi radio. And make sure you go ahead and drop Investor Central Club a follow as well. See you guys in the next one. Love ya.